now. And so we're recording this, and now I'm hitting the go live button, and we are live. So it is April 20th. It is Monday at 1 p.m., so that can only mean one thing. We are now live streaming our Calamity Jane Adventure, our weekly live stream. Save live stream again. Welcome, everybody. It's a pleasure to have you. I have James with me, as you can see. And today we are going to talk. Oh, that's me now. Ah, there we go. Oh, and now we've got Google Google searches. James is sharing his screen for us. Oh, interesting. Yeah. So we're going to just go ahead and jump right into it, and I'm going to stop my rambling. Today we're going to talk a little bit about Calamity's sidekick. Really, I mean that's what I think of her as, James. I don't know what your feeling is. Um, she rides around on a motorcycle called Tinsel. For those of you who are paying attention, Tinsel is obviously sort of a parody of silver, right? Because Tinsel is silver, and so that's where the name came from. But in terms of Tinsel's look, well, it's I guess the surprise has been ruined. It's Ghost Rider, obviously.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I used Ghost Rider as kind of an inspiration for Tinsel, but let's look at some sketches of Tinsel first.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll start there. So Tinsel is a character that has existed since uh, this was a cartoon featuring Chaos Chameleon, featuring Leon, right?
Yes, and when we first conceived the notion of Leon, we wanted to, as you write in the script, if I recall correctly, as you wrote this script, you kind of wrote in Tinsel as a we had Leon driving around on a bike in the middle of the desert, but we also wanted to. I think you kind of wanted to infuse some sort of personality into Tinsel as well. And the next thing I know as I was reading the script is Tinsel has personality and has a life of its own.
Yeah. For me, what happened is Leon as a lone wanderer was cool, but he doesn't have a lot of opportunity to say things or react against, and it gets really monotonous really quickly if you've got a character who is already brooder, like he broods constantly, and then he has nobody to talk to or react off of. And so Tinsel was almost a cheat for me. It gave me an opportunity for Chaos to talk to somebody, and and as I started exploring that, I liked it, and I liked it more, and I liked it more, and then yeah, between two drafts of the script that you got, Tinsel went from a generic bike to an entire character who, like R2D2 or any other kind of classic robot sidekick, his engine revs, or he'll rock back and forth, or he'll do things, or it'll do things. Frankly, it doesn't really have a gender in the script. That uh, um, uh, make it alive, bring it alive, and yeah, and so that's where Tinsel came from.
Yeah, and as I was reading the script, I kind of had started having fun with it. I wanted to I put a giant alien's cow skull on the front. I want, if we were gonna make the Tinsel alive, I really kind of wanted to push it and do something kind of different with the vehicle, almost like as if it, to make it stick out like a sore thumb anywhere that Leon went. um, so the first thing you want to do is you want to kind of give it you want to give it some way of communicating humanistically with. I figured with eye sockets would help. And the next thing I knew, I threw a cow skull in the front and started sketching away that way. And then Tinsel's been in evolution since we started, 10 plus years ago. Even today, we're still doing tweaks with it. But so this is Leon's. This is the very first earliest rendition I have of Tinsel right here. It was more designed like a street bike, very similar to Lobo. If I was to do a search for Lobo's bike, you can see that, or Ghost Rider with the front grill kind of being a face. That's what I was kind of chasing after. doing that. But if I was to do a Lobo search as well, Lobo bike.
Yeah, and if I recall, Lobo, the DC character Lobo, his bike is a lot more of a chopper, which is what
Yeah,
Tinsel looks like in that early sketch. And to be clear, that sketch that we were looking at is an earlier version of Tinsel when Leon Chaos Chameleon was still the main protagonist.
yes, our lead. Yes. As we've now moved on to Calamity running things, we now have more or less uh, this version of her now. Let me do a front or a side view first. She's now on the bike. We've kind of streamlined the bike a little bit to be more of a not like a I don't know what's the word to use for like what Lobo's doing here. I don't know if there's a is this considered a street bike? I don't know what the terminology is for all this stuff, but you're sitting there's like a chopper, I guess for lack of a better word, chopper kind of feel to it, where you lean back and you ride versus if you lean forward and you ride.
Right.
Um, we I kind of started pushing Tinsel to be more of kind of like you can ride him straight up and down, but not lean all the way back, I guess, because you could lean forward a little bit if you wanted to. Uh, Compared to in the original sketch, you see like there's a seat back here where Leon will actually lean back and then drive Tinsel this way. But as Tinsel's evolved, we've kind of been pushing it more towards a traditional street bike kind of feel to it.
Well, if you want to do a side by side with, yeah, so you can see a couple of the core elements have remained the same. Calamity still holds on to the antlers, but something I want to call attention to is the shape of the skull itself. One thing that I know that you brought up was the cow skull felt odd within the context of Calamity's world.
Yeah. But I wasn't. The cow skull uh, worked for me, but I wanted to make sure kind of we alienated it out a little bit.
That's
So
right.
it wasn't exactly like a cow skull, but something. So if you look at the like, for example, the teeth in the profile, you see like it's not exactly a cow anymore. It's more of a an alien type of a being that lives kind of in the that I don't know. We could kind of elaborate as to where the origins of this bike came from and
Right.
how it was assembled. Um, but we've kind of toyed with the idea of the origins that way as well, kind of not trying to say too much about it, but
Right. The idea was is to make it really clear that no aspect of Calamity Jane takes place on Earth. Like the whole thing is very much a fantasy, um, designed to exist in some sort of alternate, cartoon reality. And so having a generic cow skull felt like it was doing a disservice to the character. Like there was an opportunity to do more with it as a result. And so updating Tinsel's skull head was a huge component of that to make it seem a little bit more alien and less grounded in Earth iconography.
another thing that we've been playing with is, in the original sketch with Leon, we had him holding on to the horns of this cow of Tinsel's head, but now we've kind of gone back and forth between holding
Yeah.
rein, just holding the actual horns of the vehicle. Yeah, so I think we're leaning. I think we're pretty much going to be going the direction of holding the reins. I don't know. I still kind of do like the fact that he's holding horns though and steering him that way. But
Yeah,
I
no, I
don't know.
agree. Yeah, this is something we've gone back and forth on a couple of times. I really like holding the horns. I think it's a strong visual, but I think it's a silly gag that she's
Yeah,
driving a motorcycle holding the reins. Like it actually is a horse, right? Um, so
yeah, but I mean, these days I think we're favoring the reins more. But yeah, it's kind of funny when you see them side by side like this. Sometimes I do go back and forth a little bit. And this is just these sketches are pretty loose, so um, they're not meant to be the final version. But yeah, there's an away view. Um, yeah,
and so what's it like? in terms of, so we talked a little bit about in the writing how I added personality to the character. How did that impact your kind of perception on what Tinsel should look like and how you will animate the bike?
The bike's going to be pretty static. The main thing I think that's going to be the driving force between Tinsel and Calamity and any kind of bonding will be the revs of the machine.
Mm-hmm.
I think Tinsel's voice acting for
Mm-hmm.
yeah will be the most tying element between Calamity and Tinsel. So there's going to be an implication that Tinsel and Calamity already know each other, because Calamity's already kind of inherited Tinsel
Mm-hmm.
because of what happens in Act One. So they already have a rapport of sorts. But again, Tinsel was pretty much Leon's Leon's buddy.
Mm-hmm.
So there has. I don't know whether it's something we may not be able to convey that in the first script, but maybe in the second script. I don't know. I'm not sure how we're going to do this with grunts of a bike versus Calamity, like how they're going to debate. But there might be some way of that we can do that through sound and through posture of the bike itself. The bike is very, it's pretty static. You can only do so much with it, turning left and right, and that's about it. But there could be some, there could be some story elements where I don't know, maybe Calamity whistles and Tinsel doesn't come because it didn't get its water, at a certain time of day or something. I don't know. There's so many different ways we can go with the relationship between the two of them. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Eric?
No, I mean I agree 100%, and you'll see this a little bit in Act Three. Um, the 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 climactic event, which we're going to try to keep under wraps for the time being because we don't want to give away all of our secrets. What I am going to try to do, and I made some attempt to do this in the final climax, is Calamity is very much still very green at being a hero on her own, right? And Tinsel will oftentimes he's been down this road with Leon a bunch. It's gone down and been to hell and back, so to speak, with chaos. So it will have a ton of advice. It'll have a ton of suggestions for how Calamity should approach a particular dilemma. And in that way, it almost acts as, even though Tinsel is somewhat of a sidekick to Calamity, it acts as also sort of a mentor as well for her. There will be moments where she's completely frozen by fear or indecision or whatnot, and Tinsel will roll up and nudge her and rev his engine in a particular way, and that will definitely be a part of how the two interact, especially in the earlier stages.
Yeah, it is going to be kind of a feeling out. I mean, even for us working on the cartoon, it's sort of a metaphor for us as we kind of feel out how Calamity is, how the world is. I mean, their relationship is going to be kind of a metaphor, feeling that out as well. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's kind of ironic in a way, but yeah. I mean, the plans we do have for Tinsel, he's almost like he's pretty much the silent, but yet I don't know, almost like a third important character, or maybe the secondary character in a lot of the episodes, right?
Yeah, I mean he will be in most episodes because Calamity's got to get from point A to point B, and
Yeah, there's no other way to do it.
yeah, and there's only so much Mitchell that one teenage salamander can handle before she's just got to go and do something else.
Yeah,
So, but yeah, so that's I mean that's what I feel like. Uh, Tinsel will have a pretty significant contribution to the overall um, feel of the show, especially as it pertains to Calamity when she's just kind of talking to herself, right? Like, Tinsel becomes that sounding board for her.
yeah. I'm trying to think what else we could talk about with Tinsel. Um, we do have some stuff that's in the story that we obviously can't talk about here, like you mentioned before. Um, but yeah, Tinsel. There's a lot of mystery to Tinsel that we may or may not want to reveal anytime soon.
That is true. Well, you got to keep some stuff under wraps. Got to keep it a little bit quiet for some of the folks at home.
As I guess I might as well go over a little bit of this too. But as I work on Tinsel, I mean, I kind of, as I've worked on trying to get his shapes down,
Mm-hmm.
I'm always trying to think about the simpler I can make the shape, the better. So, I mean, for example, I don't, I want to be able to just sort of block him out in like maybe a basic triangle, or maybe a couple extra sides of triangles on a perfect triangle, but uh, I want to be able to draw him or her very fast, so I can get the basic feel that, oh, that's Tinsel when I'm doing a storyboard with her. It's funny. I'm actually calling her. I actually have been calling her for me, I guess, because I call all my vehicles hers. I guess I don't know whether.
Yeah, it's super weird what the default ends up being. I mean, in the script, it's referred to as an it. It's not really doesn't really have a
Yeah,
gender, but then you fall yourself falling back on whatever pre-installed tropes you have in your head about vehicles.
yeah, and it's funny how I assign a gender to her to it. But I don't want to call it an it either, but maybe it is. I don't know. Um, but yeah, basically the front view is pretty much like a shield or like a pretty much essentially a triangle with a rectangle kind of attached to it for the forehead area. And then I'm able to just I've been trying to build from there. Then basically on the profile, it is just basically just that triangle, maybe with a rectangle attached to it, and just the two circles. That's my main. That was my main goal for Tinsel is
Mm-hmm.
to pretty much keep the shapes really simple. And then I can always add the secondary shapes. You know, aren't meant to be the most important part of Tinsel. It's about circles or tires and a shield on front. That was where I try to emphasize most of my design for what I want Tinsel to how I want Tinsel to be treated when we're going forward story wise. All this little ancillary shapes and stuff. These are still I'm still in the process of designing them. I'm not completely happy with what I have here, but I mean it's functional, but it's just not finished. I've still got to kind of tweak it a little bit.
What do you feel you're tweaking the most?
These small little designs right here, I don't know whether I don't know if I want to go really big or if like have the central shape that's the fuselage, I guess, between the two tires be that much more heavy, or if I want to keep him kind of lean like this. I don't, I'm just kind of playing. I'm just kind of getting a feel for it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could make Tinsel this like really thin,
Mm-hmm.
like this. But the main shapes that I want are pretty much working. I mean, I think this the head and the tires obviously are exactly kind of the proportions I want. Now it's just a matter of fine tuning the rest
Mm-hmm.
for Calamity to fit on top.
And why would you err one way or the direction in terms of the thickness of the fuselage?
It's more of a it's more. I know I hate to sound artsy, but it's more of a feeling like do I do I want to have Calamity stand out that much more
Mm-hmm.
because her shape could get lost if the shape is too heavy
Mm-hmm.
um, on Tinsel. Do I want her to get? Is it enough for her to stick out in profile like she is here, or do I want to make it seem like when she's writing Tinsel that Tinsel it's about Tinsel,
I see.
um, and Calamity's is kind of secondary once Tinsel's in charge.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, it's an interesting observation. I mean, the thicker that tinsel is, in terms of its silhouette, the less you're going to see Calamity on top of it, right?
Yeah,
Because if you look at it all in silhouette, you're not going to get two characters. You're just going to get them
yeah,
combined, right? Yeah.
yeah.
And
So I
so,
mean, yeah, so I mean, if we were to do this, like you see Calamity here, you can still see her. She's on top, obviously. I
yeah.
mean, but if you look at the rest of the silhouette, it's pretty much the ratio is pretty much 70 Tinsel, Calamity's 20, 30 or so
Yeah,
roughly.
it's a good point. It's a good point. Yeah.
But again, it's more of a. I don't think there's a wrong or right answer. It's just kind of. It's funny, Eric. When you wrote in Tinsel, I don't know if you ever anticipated we'd have this much of an in-depth conversation on silhouette on the bike. We kind of
No,
have.
yeah, I mean when I wrote it into the script, it was more a matter of necessity than anything else. I mean,
Yeah,
you
but
think of all kind of loner characters who have horses. They always talk to their horses, right? And so it's sort of the same thing. But yeah, I mean, in the script, it's just like Tinsel is Tinsel. I really don't spend a lot of time describing what Tinsel looks like. I apologize for any beeping that you're hearing. Um,
I don't hear anything, so no
okay,
worries.
good. So yeah, I mean, I think that in the script I wrote exactly one sentence that just basically establishes Tinsel as a character and gives a general sense of what it looks like. And then I handed it off to you and said, "Here, do all the hard work."
No, that's not. That's what sparked me to start thinking about it more. Tinsel's a fun character. But I'm actually very. I don't know. I'm very obsessed with trying to get Tinsel right too, because again, he's almost pretty much a secondary, like the Robin to Batman, or I mean, he won't be in every shot or anything, but he's so important.
Yeah.
Uh, the more I look at this, I think we have to go heavier for the fuselage. I mean, what are you thinking, Eric, as you're watching?
No, I find it too thin. I mean, even without, and because that's the other thing we have to consider, right? I mean, there will be moments where Tinsel is in the shot and Calamity's not writing.
Yeah,
So if you think about the silhouette from the standpoint of just Tinsel, it's yeah, I feel like the fuselage needs to have a little bit more thickness to it
yeah,
for the moments where you see it alone by itself. So yeah, I definitely think you don't want to go too thin on that.
yeah. I think I am in agreement. I think I'll kind of stick with what I kind of already had. But with all that being said, like, yeah, pretty much I want the shapes to be identifiable. So circle, two circles, a rectangle, and then a triangle for the head. Pretty much
Mm-hmm.
that's always what I want to do when I'm drawing Tinsel. I don't want to overthink anything. I just want to just kind of be able to just block him in, block her in. It's in.
It in yeah,
Um,
whatever you choose.
yeah.
Well, I guess we should probably make a decision on whether we want Tinsel to be a gendered character or not, and then just commit to it.
Yeah. I'm all for voting that she's a girl.
Okay.
Tinsel's a
All right, then let's. You heard it here, folks. If you're watching the stream, Tinsel is now a girl. So moving forward,
yeah.
it'll be her. Tinsel is a her.
You
Okay.
never miss an exciting episode of this could
On
be.
our live stream is yes, we identify three types of new waffles.
Yeah, but yeah, in general, I think that's a direction. I don't know. The only thing left really for Tinsel is what I want to do with the fuselage. How much detail I want to put in there. So there's a thing I'm attempting that I want to also do with Tinsel too, which is 3D modeling for the character. But I don't know. That's pretty ambitious
Mm-hmm.
since I do more 2D. But I've been trying to kind of play with some 3D programs to kind of get a three-dimensional look to Tinsel, and then flat shade Tinsel into two-dimensional looking art. But then I can rotate the bike any way I want, and not have to redraw her all the time that way. And then kind of just place Calamity on top as needed. But I don't know. It depends on where we're at with the show. There's a few shots where I could get away with just drawing one version of it of Tinsel hanging out, but there's also like a part of me thinking like, yeah, maybe it'd be nice to have if I just had a 3D model and rotate exactly what position I want Tinsel to be, because Tinsel's the most mechanical character we have in our lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Where Tinsel, she's not going to be as forgiving once I draw her in perspective in a couple different things. I feel like I have to get her right every position. Like right now, I'm still feeling her out. So if I was to do something with 3D, that's it. That's the rule.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Right.
So I'm kind of that. I wish I had some stuff for 3D to show, but we're still kind of early in the game. But we could always revisit this later, and I can show a 3D version of Tinsel later. But again, I need to get my 3D chops up, so I'm pretty terrible right now. So
Hey, a hint of things to come, stuff to look forward to.
yeah, but in a nutshell, Tinsel's looking healthy. She's fine.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I think that this covers it pretty well. I think Tinsel was really the main character I wanted to talk about this week. Um, and yeah, I'm really excited for audiences to take a look at Act 3, which is where Tinsel plays a very fundamental role.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
shy. Mm-hmm.
So, but I think we're going to keep that under wraps for the time being, just because it's such a big moment, and it's going to be a huge amount of work from an animation standpoint. Again, this is what's fun about being a writer is I write these things, and I think I spent, I don't know, 30 words describing what I want to have happen, and that translates into 3 minutes of footage on screen that you're responsible for animating. It's great. I have the easy job.
Yeah, it's so much fun. No, it is fun though because again it gets you starting to visualize stuff that you see as written word. There's something kind of fun about. That's what makes animation fun. Is seeing the black and white words on the page and then trying to convert them into something visual and tangible for a viewer to see.
Yeah,
Rewarding.
yeah. But okay, well, I'm gonna let you get back to work, and looking forward to what we're gonna show off for the Thursday post. And yeah, stay tuned. Make sure to follow us on Facebook, and if you haven't already, head over to our Patreon site. It's just excuse me, it's patreon.com slash the Calamity Jane Adventure Hour, or you can just reach us at calamityjane.rocks. Either way will take you right to our Patreon site, so you have a lot of options to get to where we're creating all of our new content, and continue to follow us. Thank you for being fans, everybody.
Thank you very much, guys, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, see you next week. All right, bye, everybody.